Hey guys, my name is Ryan Central and welcome back to another Anthem video. Now we recently did a roundup, it was about Friday last week I think it was, and we didn't have an awful lot of news there. But in the space of the 2 or 3 days since that last video, Mark Darrah said just as much if not more than he did in the previous 2 weeks. So we're going to be going over some of the answered questions, some of which haven't been asked before. So generally these are new answers that give us a lot of insight to certain aspects. But the one thing that I was really keen to talk about came from an interview with John Warner on a podcast. This is really important because it gives some insight on what to expect next over the next couple of months, what we're going to see no doubt. So I really want to highlight that first, but before I do that, I do want to give a shout out to a Discord that I have. I really want to culminate a group, a community of people that are interested in Anthem, and I figured there's no better place to do that than in the Discord. So if you want to join in, if you love Overwatch, even better because it's predominantly an Overwatch community, but by all means you're more than welcome to hang out. There's loads of people in there that are really excited for Anthem, so might as well join them. Going back to the video, I do want to bring up this John Warner interview. It was done on Anthem's Universe podcast, which is called Anthemcast. It's a good hour-long podcast with a lot of interesting discussion, a lot of backstory to one of the main people behind Anthem, so I would recommend watching the whole thing to get a good idea of some of the important aspects that are said. But in my opinion, one main thing that was highlighted was what is going to come over the next couple of weeks and months following Anthem going into alpha. Big shout out to the podcast, I would recommend checking it out, and thanks again for letting us use this footage. But this was the answer when John was asked the question, we're in alpha now, what do we expect to see now that the game is headed towards being gold status, and then also the launch in Feb?
Well, so for everybody outside of the studio, you can expect to start to see more things. We want to do things like set up some live streams that just give people more access to what we're doing and more visibility into what's going on here. And of course, we'll have big marketing beats as well. So lots of things to see and to hear. Inside the studio, of course, this is where the really hard work comes in of landing a project of this size, bug fixing, tuning, polishing, finding those last bits of things that we screwed up and trying to fix them and make them right. That's an ongoing journey, and we'll continue that journey well into live service as we then start the conversation between all of us into what you want more of and what you want less of, and doing stuff like that. But that's kind of the arc that we're on. So a lot of cool stuff coming up for to see, for you guys to see, and then just a lot of hard work and heads down for us here at the studio.
This is really good news. The live stream idea is something that's been teased quite a lot. It's almost been a flippant idea being tossed around by some of the developers. Oh, this would be really cool to do. Maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't. And the community's just sat there screaming for something. The idea of a live stream showing off the game in its alpha beta state and the developers playing it, answering questions, is huge for so many reasons that I don't really need to go into them. But being able to see non-scripted gameplay of Anthem, I think it's about time that we started to see that. So whilst it's not confirmed, it's more than just a flippant idea they're throwing around. They really want to do this, and it's really exciting and interesting to see. And I do think if they can get the blessing from EA, of course, that is something that they will want to do and will do within the next coming month or two. There's loads of questions that were also answered in this podcast, mostly about story and how the game's going to work, such as contracts. I just recommend watching it. I don't want to just take all the questions that were asked. Just watch it yourself, but I do want to now go over the Mark Darrah section of the video. No doubt you sort of got used to this if you followed it. We'll start actually with a post from Chris Anderson showing off the grab it, which is something that we missed last time. It's goddamn terrifying. Let's move on because I don't want to look at it too long. I feel it's just going to jump out at the screen at me. These are in no particular order, but roughly in a certain timeline of when these were posted. The first question that I did want to highlight, which I think has some bearing, is that Dylan Williams questioned Mark Darrah on whether Anthem's version of raids will have matchmaking, and he says yes. Now the interesting thing about this is I don't know whether Mark's just assuming that raids equal strongholds in this situation, or raids is the other type of endgame content that we'll be seeing in Anthem. I don't know if Mark Darrah's saying that strongholds have matchmaking or their version of raids will have matchmaking too. It's not really clear. I did actually ask for some confirmation on this, but I've yet to hear back. As soon as I do, I'll let you know. I'll put it in the comments below. But this might be the first tease that we have of Anthem having raids. No confirmation yet though. Next question is a really good one going over tiers of talents. The example is having a talent that is the pickup radius is tier 1, increases to 5 meters in tier 2, increases to 10, so on and so forth. That you have a branch that you can put more talent points, I suppose, into increasing certain aspects in tiers. And he says there are multiple levels of the perks, yes. Can you customize your striders? Mark Darrah says not at launch. The Interceptor also can't use heavy weapons, which is something that was sort of answered last week. And there's no new information on alpha or beta just yet, but he does say not yet ... So again, keep your eyes peeled. It seems that we're getting into crunch time of this game now. In one of the gameplay trailers, we got a brief glimpse at the Interceptor, and one thing that was brought up is that the Interceptor only has the one weapon available. This was brought up because Mohammed tweeted Mark saying, can you confirm that the Interceptor can only equip one weapon according to the trailers? He says they can equip 2, the guy in the trailer is level 1, you unlock the second weapon I think at level 2. So given the way the suit unlock works, that's technically impossible for the Interceptor because you'll only have the Ranger at level 1. He said this similarly in an interview where he was talking about the Storm. They had that at level 1 too, but it'll be about level 5 before you get the Storm Javelin if you completely just focus all of your efforts into doing those quests. So this is the developers using like god tech to make sure that they have these javelins available to them, which otherwise would not be available. Will there be any textures or color schemes that will affect your visibility to the enemy or combinations of the two? Max says no, so that just means that you can wear your bright pink or luminous color javelins and the enemy's not going to see you, which I think is goddamn hilarious. Now, a lot of questions to do with matchmaking and strongholds. I kind of mentioned before that we might have raids in the game, but I have a sneaky suspicion that he was referring to strongholds here. Strongholds is the gameplay that we saw of the Colossus. It's just a dungeon run in all essence. But anyway, going over the question, will we be forced to play with others when I have a group of 2 people only? Max says that you can play the main story missions with smaller groups, but a stronghold requires 4. The Shape of Storm events also require 4 people to complete. And all of these modes will have matchmaking. You can also solo all of the story missions if you choose to, but again, if you want to do some of that high-end content, then you're going to have matchmaking to put you into groups of 4. You also cannot do Stronghold solo. Even if you have a person in your group that's just sat there, it seems now an impossible according to what Mark Darrah is saying. Anthem won't have PvP, at least not at launch. And also, he was brought up on the question on loot is if you sell duplicate or unwanted weapons to NPCs, but you can instead salvage them for crafting resources. He doesn't really say yes or no if you can sell those items too, so we'll have to wait and see on that one. When it comes to customizing your javelin, you can choose whatever colors you want. You're not going to have shaders like in Destiny. You can choose whatever colors you want to run with it. Again, the bright pink luminous javelins. As soon as we get into game, I want people to tweet me your most beautiful javelins, the bright pink, the luminous colors. I can't wait. And also a question to do with pre-orders. If I pre-ordered Anthem already and didn't have the EA access, but then I got EA access, can I then play the early trial on Feb the 15th? And he says yes. So what you can do is you can pre-order like the Legion of Dawn version of the game, get Premier access for just a month for February, to then play the game a week early, if that makes sense. Again, it's a very complicated topic. I wish they went about that a lot easier. But they're just some of the questions that were answered over the weekend, so Mark Darrah really wanted to go over some of these big talking points. And of course, the big news came from John Warner that we might be really expecting these live streams to happen soon, which is really exciting. Before it was just, yeah, maybe we'll do it, but it seems like they're really keen to try it out at least. So fingers crossed it happens sometime soon. The more we see of Anthem before launch, or before beta, the better, so I cannot wait for this to start happening. But thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you're really excited to see some Anthem content. I'll be sure to make some more. Wanting to do a video later on this week going over the Endgame content specifically, so do look out for that. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.